Okay, good evening, everyone.
Very good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Hope I'm audible and visible enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a call, some important call, so I kept my mic in mute. So I hope you know about me. My name is Sulabh. So I would like to inform you that in today's session, we have clubbed two batches. One batch which is running in the morning, SOC analysis batch. On that batch also, we were supposed to start Splunk. And we started one batch, Splunk advanced batch, administrator and enterprise security today. So today's and tomorrow's sessions, like introduction of Splunk, different components, are the common for both the batches. That's the reason I thought let's club both the batches today and for next that means tomorrow's session. So that is the reason you see for Splunk at advanced, we have around 30 people in the batch. It is the smallest batch. But in SOC, we have around 145 people, more than 100 people. So some people could not join because of time change, because you were having the session in the morning, and now suddenly we moved to the evening India time for this batch. So for the people who are new in this batch for advanced admin training, I would like to introduce myself. Even majority of people knows about me already because they were the part of SOC training previously, and they wanted to go for advanced training. So half of the people already belongs to our previous batch, maybe a year ago or 2 years, 3 years, like some people we have, and some people are new, quite new. So let me tell you about myself. So as you know, my name is Sulabh. So almost around I am having around 13 years experience in cybersecurity. I have trained more than 12,000 people so far. I mean, parallelly, we have 3 to 4 batches running. I'm training parallelly more than 500 people. More than 500 people, I am training in 4 batches parallelly. So this advanced admin training is the smallest batch till now. Means in last 3 to 4 years, this is the smallest batch that I'm taking now, where we have only 30 people in the batch. But since we have already announced, right, people have enrolled and waited for a month. So that is the reason we started today. So this training is for Splunk admin and enterprise security. This is very advanced level. We'll be starting from scratch only, but we'll be covering all, solutioning, deployment, configuration, clustering, right? Means you can say it's an administration and enterprise security plus majority of part of architecting also will be covering here. That means if you get a project from a Splunk deployment, right, then whole evaluation, sizing, solutioning, right? As a solution architect, what will be your plan, and where we deploy what component, what license we have to buy, how you can evaluate the licensing requirements, storage, infrastructure requirement, which component we have to deploy where, right? Then deployment, configuration. So Splunk deployment is not very straightforward compared to other SIEM tool. I will tell you why. So multiple same component, we have multiple deployment for same component that we call as clustering, search head clustering, indexer clustering. So this Splunk architecture is not very straightforward. It is one of the complex tool. Splunk is one of the complex tool. One moment here, I'm getting a call from outside. Just one. So what I'm saying is Splunk is not very straightforward. It's one of the complex tool. So if you become the expert in this Splunk, right, then the sky is the limit, because not everybody can become the expert, because it's not very straightforward compared to other tools. So a lot of things. It is not just installation and next, right? A lot of things, lots of configuration, backend configuration, right? So it is very good, the decision that you have taken to learn Splunk, right? To become the expert in this Splunk is very good decision. So I will be starting from scratch only, right? So let's have a quick introduction of the Splunk. So Splunk started around in 2000. First time Splunk, the company, started in 2000, but they started public offering in 2010. Company established Splunk. Company name is also Splunk, right? Tool name is Splunk Enterprise Security, different tool, but tool name is starting with this Splunk. And company name is also Splunk, right? So company started in 2000, but they started public offering since 2010. Means tools and offering. I don't know what they were doing since 2010 2010, maybe some kind of research or something. They were doing product development, but they started first time public offering in 2010. So unlike other SIM tool like IBM QRadar, ArcSight, Microsoft Sentinel, Logarithm, right? These are the SIM tool, SIEM tool being used for IT infrastructure to do the real-time monitoring as a SIM tool, right? But Splunk is not Splunk does not have only the SIM feature. It has two features. One is as a SIM, another is as a data analytics tool, right? So Splunk is not a SIM. That's the reason Splunk architecture is quite complex, because it is having two work. One is SIEM, another is data analytics. One is data analytics. Another is SIEM. SIM means security information and event management. Security information and event management. I would like to tell you one thing, that initially recordings will not be shared. The class will be live. You have to join live only. But in case you miss any class, because see, our classes are not generic class like Simply Learn or other online platform, right? Where people used to read the slides. I rarely will show slides, will use slide, rarely to show some concept, maybe rarely, but I'll be in front of you all the time. So these are not generic training. So in this, I mean, people watch the recordings only and they learn everything in my session. So I'm here to support you, but we have to support ourselves also. So that is the reason everyday recording will not be shared. But in case you miss any class, you're unable to join any class, then you can ping me personally, inform me personally prior to the class that today you are not able to join. So in that case, I will say you temporary recording to you. You can watch once and continue next class. However, once we start the practical classes, we understand practicals are very important. So practicals recording will be shared that you can access another 1 month after the training. Even after finishing the training, 1 more month you can access. Okay, so in case you miss any class, you can inform me prior to the class. Okay, so notes also, whatever we are discussing here, I have created the customized Splunk administrator that you are going to get. Apart from that, so many other documents, all deployment, configuration, administration, all the document will be shared with you. Okay. So if you have any questions, you are free to ask anytime, but make sure that when I take the pause, mean I'm on the flow, do not try to stop me, but when I take a pause, for example, I explain this thing, and now I take the pause, then you can ask the question. Otherwise, sometimes I forget what I'm discussing. Okay, so clear? Anybody, any confusion, any question?
No issues. You may continue, sir. No issues.
Okay, great. So Splunk has two features. One is data analytics, and another is SIM. I think I have some. Data analytics means Splunk. I believe that you joined the Splunk admin training. You have some basic knowledge. You might have heard about Splunk. What is the purpose of using Splunk, right? So one feature of the Splunk is data analytics. That means Splunk can receive the logs from any machine which generate the logs. Splunk can receive it. You understand, log or data means the activities. Either you call it log or you call it event. In this Splunk documentation, you'll see the word data. While other SIM tool, if you talk about, you'll see the word event or log. But Splunk use the word data. Get it, mind? So logs, event, or data means any activities, any digital device, whatever activity happens, right? It will record in the form of logs. Getting what I'm saying? For example, your firewall, right? Firewall, some communication happen, connection come from particular source IP, they go into particular destination IP, firewall has allowed the traffic, right? So whatever activity happening on the firewall, it will record in the form of logs, right? That we call as logs event, or Splunk, it call as data. You log in on a Windows device, you log in, log out, log in failure, log in success, you open the file, close the file, modify the file, right? All this activity will be recorded, right? That we call as logs event or data. In a Splunk, it called as data because, for example, you are going to Pizza Hut, right? Pizza Hut, you want to order something, so they will ask you what you want to order. You will select on the computer, right? And they will select particular product, and then cost and everything. Then bill will come outside, right? And once he place an order, it will record the order in form of logs. At what time particular order has been placed, what was the product name, what was the total cost, what was the tax on that, what is the outlet name, right? These all things will be recorded in the form of logs. Understand? So any digital device record the activities in the form of logs, right? Logs is nothing but the record, right? After the transaction happens, if I want to see how many total order happen, right? I can log in on that machine, POS machine. That machine we call as POS machine, point of sales machine. Get in mind? Where you have placed where they have taken the order and placed your order, right? So if you log in on that machine, you can see, right, how many total sales happen, how many revenue, which all product has been sold, right? These all information you can see by logging on that machine, right? So Splunk tells this data, this information as data, right? So Splunk can receive the data or logs from any machine. It's not only like IT infrastructure, like network device, security devices. It can receive the logs from any machine. Get in mind? That is the reason is we call it data analytics. So what happens is how Splunk simplifies your problem as a data analytics tool. For example, your company name is Pizza Hut. In Pizza Hut in India, there are 200 outlets across different locations. Across different location, they're having more than 200 outlets. For example, Pizza Hut is an Indian company, owner is sitting in India, or their management is sitting in India. Now, out of 200 outlets, end of the day daily, he should know how many total revenue has been generated, how many total order have been placed. Yes or no? Which outlets, how much revenue, how many order has been placed, what was the top outlets which have sold most order, which one is the least, which one the outlet which has sold least orders. Out of 200 outlets, collecting this information and then correlating and getting what was the top outlet, what are the top least. Don't you think that is very, very difficult? Every time, every night, you have to call this outlet, get the information. And then you have to create Excel sheet, Excel Word, right? And then compare, then get the top result, least result. Yes or no? Understand? This is what we call a data analysis. This project is called data analytics. And when you're analyzing, you call it data analysis. Analyzing the data. Yes or no? Splunk simplifies this problem. Now, what you can do is, in this case, if you have a Splunk, means any data analysis like such as Elasticsearch, Kibana, right? Your Splunk. These are data analytics tool which can analyze the data. In this case, what you can do is you can integrate all your POS machine. For example, you have two POS machine, two or three POS machine on each and every outlets. Your Splunk will be on centralized location, right? Now you understand all the locations are connected to the internet. Your Splunk is also deployed and connected to all the outlets, right? Now what you can do is you can integrate, that means you can connect all POS machines with this Splunk. Now, as soon as order is placed from particular outlet, particular machine, it will record the activities, means data, logs, and it will send the log to your Splunk. When particular outlet or POS machine will record the order, it will record at what time order has been placed, what was the order name, product name, right? What were total cost, tax, and everything. Yes or no? As well as outlet's name. Yes or no? These information will be sent to the Splunk. Now in this Splunk, at the end of the day, right? When logs came in the Splunk, you can Splunk, there is a various query language, different query using this Splunk queries. You can search. Now, no need to ask any outlets owner or outlets manager how many total order has been sold, placed. You can search it out based on the outlet name and check how many total order has been generated. Then using a Splunk query language, you can calculate the total total revenue. Yes or no? You can also search how many order have been generated today, how many pizza has been sold most, which pizza has been sold most, which pizza has been sold least. Similarly, you can also club the query total, how much revenue has been generated across all the outlets, which is the top pizza across all 200 outlets, which one is the least, why it is not being sold, maybe some kind of improvement we have to do. But this kind of analysis means you have full report. Yes or no? Not only daily report, because Splunk can hold the log for a long time, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years, 10 years, based on your requirement. This year we have generated this revenue, and last year how much revenue has generated? What was the top performing outlets last year, or last month, or last 6 months back? It's all a game of logs, data. Yes or no? No Excel work. Even Splunk has the better command, better queries than Excel. What do you do in the Excel? You can do in the Splunk on a better way. Understand? This is called a data analytics, and we call it Splunk being used for data analytics. That means not only security. One of the use Splunk SIEM means from security perspective that I'm going to tell you now, right? So this work, this called data analytics, right? So Splunk, one of the use is data analytics. That means if you have Splunk, so many of the people who working in Splunk, but they're not working on cyber security. That is the reason, because Splunk is also being used for as the data analytics tool. Understand? Understand? Anybody has any confusion on data analytics? Not all Splunk engineers are working on a Splunk SIEM security, cyber security. Many of Splunk people are working on the Splunk, but they do not know the ABCD of cyber security. Why? Because they're working on the Splunk as a data analytics tool. They're using Splunk as a data analytics tool. Understand? Clear, everybody? Now, the next use of the Splunk is as a SIEM. SIEM means security, information, and event management. I'll give you a brief about SIEM. People who are new in this technology. So what happens now in the typical IT infrastructure, because this is core Splunk training, so I'm not going with the basics of networking security concept. So I'm going to explain you what is SIEM now. From cybersecurity perspective, this is firewall, this is switch, this is router, and there are many other. These are security devices like firewall. You have proxy. You have email gateway, right? These are some of the security devices. proxy. There are some other security devices, right? So this is the typical idea architecture. Whenever you work with any company, right? Computers are connected with each other using network device that we call as router and switches, right? Using that, all the computers are connected with each other, right? And can access the internet, right? This is the router on the company gateway perimeter, that is called router. And using that, you have taken the internet connection and connected your company to the internet, right? Now, in this network that we have designed using router and switches, right? Now, after configuring this network, your end user can access the internet, as well as outside people also can come inside to your network, right? Understand? Once you take the internet connection to your company, your internal user can access any of the website, any internet hosted application, right? As well as your outside people also. From public internet means public network, and in the public network there are good people, bad people, both. Yes or no? So you understand that if you connect to the internet, right, you can access the outside application, but outside people, bad people also can come inside to a network, right? So in that case, we have to secure the network. We have to ensure that only unauthorized people means only authorized people, authorized connection only should be allowed. Unauthorized bad people, bad connections, right, should not be allowed. Maybe any kind of attackers attacking to a company should not be allowed. For that, we have various security devices such as firewall, proxy, your email gateway, right? People who are new, in case some of the people who are new the technology, they do not know what is firewall, they do not know what is proxy, right? Then I can share my last 9 days, one of the sessions that I have taken, on which I have explained all the foundation fundamentals of network and security concept. So any one on this, I know that majority 95% people, I know them already personally. So I know them, you already have the fundamental clear. What 5% people that I don't know your background. So if anybody do not know what is router, firewall and everything, right? So I have just taken the one of the SOC batch on which I had explained the fundamental of networking and security, right? That is going to be very useful for you. So after this weekend, once you have time, you can just go through it. It is very important to understand further topics. Get it? Because in this training, we are mostly going to cover your Splunk from SIEM perspective, from cyber security perspective, right? So if you work in the Splunk but do not know what is router, switches, firewall and all, it is not going to help much. So if you are having that background, you can tell me that I can share the link, you can go through it, okay? Because in the Splunk class is only for a Splunk, right? Not for the fundamental. So I cannot go in the deep in this concept. Okay, so so you understand this. So to secure the network so that only authorized connection can come inside and go outside, we have various security devices such as your firewall, proxy, email gateway, antivirus, right? There are some other like WAF, some other devices also, but these are some of the popular devices, right? So whenever any connection comes, they check whether connection is authorized or not, whether IP address is is legitimate, not blacklisted, right? Based on that, if it is not blacklisted, it will allow the connection. Get it? But these all devices work based on the predefined information. That means either you tell the device that this connection is unauthorized, either you define yourself that connection coming from this particular IP address and this IP address is blacklisted, it belongs to malicious IP, this IP is malicious IP, should be blocked. Or the vendor from which you bought these devices, they will be feeding those information to the device, right? Based on that, the device will understand, okay, this connection is unauthorized, malicious connection, so I have to block the connection. That means these devices does not have their own intelligence. They only take the action, allow or disallow, based on the predefined information that either we define or vendor define, right? But there will be some some situation where the attacker is coming with a new IP, new email ID, right? A new attack vector where these devices does not have information about. That means these devices does not have signature. that predefined information based on what that particular device, decide whether connection has to be allowed or disallowed. That we call a signature, which will be there on the list that we call ACL. Every device will have the list that we call ACL, means access control list, on which either we create a policy or vendor will update, that we call a signature. So any kind of connection coming in or going out to the malicious application, right? If these devices does not have signature, does not know, in that case, connection will be allowed, permitted, and resulting successful compromise will happen. Yes or no? Understand? When none of these devices are having signature, means they are not aware that the communication somebody is trying to do is not an authorized connection. The IP address is blacklisted. The IP address belongs to attacker IP address, right? In that case, these devices will allow the communication, and resulting successful compromise will happen. Yes or no? This kind of attack we call as zero-day attack, right? When none of your security devices are having signature to detect it, right? To have a robust security, right? We do not have only one device like firewall. We have multi-layer of security like firewall. We have IPS, IDS, proxy, email gateway, then endpoint security solution, multi-layer of security solution, right? If one device could not detect, maybe other device can detect. But still, there will be some scenarios when none of your security devices are having signature. Means none of your security devices are aware that this particular connection or communication is malicious. Yes or no? In that case, successful compromise will happen. This kind of attack we call a zero-day attack. The zero-day attack is an attack when none of your security devices are having signature to detect it. Get in mind? In that case, how we can handle the situation? In 10 years back, if you talk about these legacy devices, standard devices we are having, get in mind? Now, since digitalization is having very fast, attackers also become very smart, very intelligent, because attackers are not same as physical thieves. They are the group of educated, well-educated people. Yes or no? They are well-educated people. They always find out new ways to compromise the network, to penetrate your network. Then we also have to think and plan accordingly so that we can secure our data and secure our network. Get in mind? So in this case, if none of the security devices are having signature, it will be very difficult to take an action. For example, somehow there is a zero-day attack. Somehow you came to know that particular that network is being compromised, network is being attacked. You know what happened? Before I go ahead, I would like to mention one thing, that each and every device, I already mentioned a few minutes back, that each and every devices on the typical IT infrastructure, each and every devices are recording their activities in the form of logs. Means whatever communication is happening, for example, you have firewall, any connection coming in, which source IP, which destination IP, which port number, right? And what was the action? Or somebody has logged in a firewall, who has logged in, who has done the configuration changes, and firewall down, firewall rebooted, any device you log in a Windows device, successful login failure, account credit, account disable, account lockout. So in typical IT infrastructure, whatever devices you will find, all the devices are recording their activities in the form of logs. Either you call a log or event. Single record means log, multiple means logs. Similarly, events. Get in mind? Either you call as event or log. Both are same, right? So you understand, each and every devices are recording their activities in the form of logs. Somehow, at the time of attack, you came to know your company is being compromised. Maybe you see the high utilization of firewall, or some communication you see somehow that some kind of attacking activity is happening. If you want to dig down and want to collect further information from which IP communication is happening, or which kind of attack, whether you receive some email or somebody have access some malicious site, how this malicious activity is happening, if you want to collect more information, you understand each and every device will record the activities. So you have to log in on those devices. Yes or no? So that you'll come to know what actually happened, what actually happening right now, right? So you understand what happens is these devices, will record the activity. So to understand more and to take the active action so that what malicious activity is happening right now, you can stop it. You have to stop it, right? So in order to stop it, and first of all, you have to identify what kind of communication it is, what kind of attack it is, what kind of malicious activity is happening right now. So how will you come to know? By checking the logs only. It's not a physical theft that, okay, if the thieves come inside and you see, okay, you'll catch it. You'll catch him, right? In cyber security, cyber attack happens, you can't see. You logged in on the device, you do not know that somebody else also has logged in and doing some robotic activities that you call a bot. Yes or no? We cannot see the attacker physically, cyber attacker physically. We can only see based on the logs. So now if I want to identify and detect what kind of activity is happening, want to investigate further, then in that case, whatever device which are coming in between, I will have to log in on those devices, check the logs, analyze the logs. Yes or no? Analyze the logs, and then only I'll be able to identify what kind of activities are these. Understand? So in that case, if you log in on each and every devices, again, login will take time. Yes or no? And these devices generate billions of logs, especially your firewall routers generate billions of logs per day. At the time of attack, if you come to know, analyzing the billions of logs, logging on each and every device, then analyzing billions of logs, very, very difficult. Again, these devices recording the logs on their own format. There is no standard format. They are having, each and every device are having the logs on their own format. That is called raw format. Raw vegetables, right? You cannot eat raw vegetables. You have to make a curry, combine and make a curry, then only it will be eatable. It will become eatable, right? Similarly, all the devices are having their own different format. It's very difficult at the time of attack, log in on each and every devices, analyzing the logs. It's very, very difficult. It's a challenge, right? Yes or no? First of all, you have to log in. Then if you are the expert in the firewall, you may understand the firewall logs, you understand, you can analyze. But if you're not expert, because different devices are having this, for example, particular firewall for source IP, it is given the field SRC. It is not mentioning, for example, source IP. So what format is SRC? Maybe Windows, it is written as source. Source is equal to source, or source IP means the IP address of the machine or computer from which the connection has been originated. Destination IP means the IP address of the destination machine toward the connection is going. Yes or no? But different devices are recording giving different field. For source IP, one device source, SRC source, or source IP address, right? Source address. And some devices may not even capture the field name. They are giving just the data. Source IP, then destination IP, like this. They are not giving the field. That means every devices are having their own format, how they're recording the activities. If you're aware, if you're the expert, if you're aware, then you can analyze. But in our network, we have so many different type of devices. It's very difficult to analyze when you are not aware about their format. Understand? It's a big challenge. Maybe you may take a day, whole day to log in and analyzing the logs. Maybe attacker may go inside, go and do his work in next 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and go outside. Yes or no? That means you end up analyzing the historical logs. You are not able to take the active action in that case. Yes or no? Attacker has already came inside, then is gone outside, you're doing the historical analysis. You are not able to stop that attacking activity at the same time. Yes or no? So in this case, SIEM is going to help us. We can introduce one security device, security monitoring device that we call SIEM. SIEM means security information and
event management.
SIEM, security information and event management, right? SIEM, security information and event management, right? So this is a centralized tool. It's a centralized tool. It can collect the real-time logs. from all your network device, security device, servers, applications, databases, it can collect the real-time logs. So you have to configure these devices to forward the live log to this SIEM. Now, as soon as these devices activity will happen, they will record the logs, activity in the form of logs, and they will send to the SIEM. Get it, mind? And once the SIEM receive the logs, it can convert this unreadable format log to the readable format. That will call normalization. That process we call as normalization. What we call as normalization means mapping of. So what, for example, this particular device for source IP, it captures SRC. This is capturing a source IP. This is capturing a source address. Data is source IP only, but different field, right? So now, if you want to search some data, you have sometimes you have to give SRC equal to this one or source IP equal to this one, a different field. So what your SIEM can do is, once you receive the data, it will normalize the data. That means all SRC, source address or source, it will map with the source IP. Means so all this field will be mapped with source IP, right? And that is called as normalization. Means mapping of device specific field set with your SIEM defined field set is called as normalization, right? Understand? So for now, you understand this unreadable format logs will become and available in the readable format, easily understandable format. The good name will be given. Instead of SRC source, the source IP name may be given, which you can easily understand. Understand? So this is quite normal. So this your SIEM tool will receive the real-time logs. Means as soon as within 180 millisecond, the maximum allowed latency is 180 millisecond. So as soon as activity happen, maybe your SIEM is in Bengaluru and your these devices in USA. From USA to Bengaluru, within 180 millisecond, you can receive the logs on your SIEM. That is the reason we call a SIEM can receive the real-time logs. 180 millisecond is less than a second, right? 1/5 time, almost 1/6 time of 1 second, right? So, so SIEM can receive your real-time logs from network device, security device, server, application, databases, and once it collect the logs, it normalize the logs, you make it readable format, and keep the log for long time. That means 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years, 10 years. It can keep based on the company requirement, audit and compliance requirement, right? Security requirement. You can keep the logs for a long time. And it has searching and reporting feature. That means whatever logs you want to search, you can write the query here. You want to search router logs, you write the query for router. Firewall logs, write the query. IPS logs, write the query, and you select the time. Which period of logs you're looking for? Last 1 day, 2 days, 1 year, 1 month, 2 months. Search. You can see the logs on the console. Yes or no? As well as you have option to download in multiple formats such as CSV, Excel, PDF. You can download the report you want to share to someone, or you want to investigate the logs in the Excel. You can download the logs. Understand? So SIEM has the feature, it can collect the real-time logs from your network device, security device, servers, application, databases. And once it collect the logs, it normalize the logs and keep the logs for a long time based on your company requirements, your security requirement, compliance requirement, and enables you searching and reporting feature. Anybody, any confusion till now? See, everybody is free to ask any question, right? So if you have any confusion, you can ask before we move ahead.
So Splunk is a hardware based or software based?
It is software. No hardware box. It is software. I will tell you when I talk about these differences, then we'll talk about where we can deploy the Splunk and everything we'll be talking about. I'm just going telling you what is SIEM and what is data analysis tool. Then we'll discuss further where we can deploy and everything.
I have a question. With you mentioned that you have different fields. So for example, you could have a SRC field or a source field.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to see the difference between what Splunk normalized, like the field itself, and also what it came in as, the raw field. So for example, if I have a firewall log
Right.
and it's then at a source IP,
Right.
it source IP, and also Splunk will give me another field that says SRC.
Correct. We can
Okay.
see that. We can see that in the Splunk. First of all, see, Splunk means, see, there are some tools in the market. Let me tell you, since you have understanding, let me tell you. There's some other SIEM tool which they collect the logs, and while collection only, they normalize logs. Means they change the field set and they keep. But in this Splunk, normalization happen on the different phase. First of all, it will collect the logs, and it will not normalize at the same time. While you're searching the log, then only field set will change. So there are some add-on that you have to install. So on our class only, we'll see that. First of all, we will collect the logs, integrate device, collect the logs, and search. We see the logs are coming on the device specific field set. Firewall on its own field name, your router on own field name. Then we'll do the normalization, and then we'll see the field name change. You'll see that is difference in your Splunk. Got it?
Yeah, one question, Sulabh.
Yes.
Yeah, so in this same class, we are going to learn about data analytics also, how to integrate and how we can take a report of it.
The data analysis is same as security only, but the only thing is we are not going to integrate POS machine and all, right? Searching and reporting is same for security also. The only difference is security SIEM is having one more feature than data analytics. The architecture, the core architecture will be same for security also and for data analytics also. But if you want to use for security, you'll have to add one more app that is called Splunk Enterprise Security. I will explain you, right? Otherwise, the core architecture is same for Splunk data analytics also and Splunk security also, SIEM also. Only for SIEM perspective, we have to introduce and deploy one more component, one more application that we call Splunk Enterprise Security to enable the SIEM feature. Get a point? Clear? The only thing is the integration part will be integrating security related devices, Windows device, Linux, firewalls. That will be integrating. Will not be integrating Pizza Hut, POS, Mission, or some other data analytics devices. But searching and reporting is same. Either you search from security perspective or from data analytics perspective. Okay. The only difference is from security perspective, you may not need the some of the complex searching or some tables, some dashboard. Right here, the dashboard searching will do from security perspective. Get a point? Okay, so that is one feature that your SIEM is having. One is to collect the real-time logs from network device, security device, server, application, databases. Right. Once it collect the logs, it normalize the logs and keep the log for a long time. Searching and reporting. Now you see, we had a challenge, right? When these devices are recording at the time of attack, we have to log in on each and every devices. Those logs are not properly formatted, raw logs. Yes or no? So what happens is, now once your SIEM collect the logs, it normalize the logs, right? So what happens is, during it normalize, there are two things are happening. One is parsing, another is normalization. Once your SIEM collect the logs, it do the parsing and normalization. While in other SIEM tool, parsing like ArcSight, for example, parsing and normalization happen at the same stage. But in your Splunk, parsing happen on different stage and normalization happens on the different stage, right? Let's understand what is parsing. Okay, for example, this log file, if you log it on the firewall, right, for any device, there will be a log file on which it will record the logs, right? We call as raw logs. Why? Because, for example, once this firewall record the logs, it will record like this: SRC is equal to 10.0.0.2. Then DST is equal to 10.5.0.100 and blah, 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 right? Then one event started from here to here. Then from here, another event started directly from here. Another event started directly from here till here. 2 event, then third event here to here, fourth event here to here, sixth event here to here. Means there is no proper breakdown from where one event is starting and where is being finished. There is no proper breakdown. Means while you're analyzing, you understand it's very, very difficult, right? Because you have to, okay, this event started from here and ending here. Other event started from here and ending here. This is not properly formatted. This event is called as raw logs. This log called a raw log, mixed log, raw. Yes or no? Raw material. Now this raw logs we can parse. How we can parse? What is the meaning of parse? For example, this is SRC, right? And this is DST, source, destination, device, action, something like that, right? If you see like this, if you see the parse logs, in the parse logs, this is called as parse logs, on which it will properly formatted with columns. For example, SRC is equal to 10.0.0.2. First of all, it may have time also. It will recording time also, time, maybe some time, okay? 10 AM, for example. Then SRC, then DST is equal to this one, blah, 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 right? Then again, this is one log, then two log, again time. SRC is equal to this one, 10.0.5.100. DST is equal to this one. Me properly formatted. One log, two log, three log. You may have here also like this kind of thing also. Properly with columns. Now you understand this is one event, this is two event, this is three event. Instead of this mess, this is called as parsing. Understand? This is properly formatted, right? In case of parsing, field name do not get changed. It just break down. The parsing is nothing but the breaking down the event in the columns. Parsing is nothing but the breaking down the events, logs, raw event into the properly formatted columns. We call as parsing. Yes or no? You can see in case of parsing, so this is better or this is better? Which one is better? This one or this one?
Parsing.
Second one.
Second
Parse
one.
log, right? Parse log is better, right? So this, even if your logs are not being normalized, parse logs also, you understand this is better format. Yes or no? So once your SIEM collect the logs, first it parse the logs, means proper breaking down the event. Then now after that, if you want to normalize, then same format, now it will change. SRC will be mapped with source address. After normalization, this field name will get changed. SRC is equal to source address. DST is equal to destination address. For example, a destination IP, what the based on SIEM. This common field set are based on SIEM to SIEM. For example, Splunk source IP is along with the name SRC underscore IP, DST underscore IP. This kind of field set may use. ArcSight use source address, destination address. Your Sentinel use source address, destination address. Means field name will be common only, but it is vendor to vendor what field name they are giving common field name, right? So if after parsing, this field name will get changed to the common format. Now, for example, your firewall recording as SRC, but router logs recording as source. Yes or no? And your Windows SRC IP, even after parsing, but these fields are different for different vendors. Then after that, these all SRC, source IP, source address will be all mapped with this source address, for example, common field set. This field get will change. So whenever field set will get changed, we got normalized logs. In case of normalization, the actual, this is a device specific field set. How device has recorded? This is the device specific field set, right? So this device specific field set will be mapped with the SIEM defined common field set, right? Yes or no? SIEM defined common field set. Understand? That is called as normalization. In case of ArcSight, Sentinel, right? Normalization happen at the same time. Parsing and normalization happen at the same time. In case if you join ArcSight class, right? Then we understand only normalization, because people either use the parsing word or normalization word, because both happens at the same time. Either you can people are calling as parsing or they're calling as normalization. But that is the actual meaning of parsing, meaning breaking down the individual into the columns, properly formatted columns, and normalization means mapping the device specific field set with your SIEM defined common field set. right? Splunk has the set of common field set. The name of those field set is, anybody knows? The name of the common field set?
Index.
Information module.
Common
CIM,
information model.
common information model, right? Splunk field set name is common information model. While in case of ArcSight, we have this common field set name is CEF, common event field set, right? Common event field set, CEF. In case of Sentinel, also same name, CEF, common information, common event format, common event format, CEF. In case of Splunk, साजन भैया टीवी देख रहे हो साथ साथ में?
No sir, वो actually call आ गई थी.
अच्छा, तो कॉल बजता है ऐसे तरीके से. अच्छा, हाँ. So what I was telling?
Common information module.
हाँ, Splunk common field set we call as CIM, common information model, right? While in case of ArcSight we call as CEF, means all the SIEM tools they have common field set, right? Means this normalization happen with all the SIEM tool. This is a compliance requirement. But yeah, if you are using SIEM, people will get confused, right? Different device, different field set, analysis, investigation will be difficult. I want that out the router, switches, firewall should have common field set. Get your mind? That is called as common informational model in this case of Splunk, right? So this is called as normalization. Or so if you want to write the definition of normalization, right? You can write normalization is nothing. You can write normalization is nothing but the mapping of. Normalization is nothing but the mapping of device specific field sets, device specific field set, mapping of device specific field set
with your Splunk.
The SIEM defined common field sets. With the SIEM defined, SIEM defined common field sets. Normalization is nothing but the mapping of device specific field set with the SIEM defined common field set. SIEM defined common field set. Got it? In case of a Splunk, the common field set name is CIM.
Common information model.
Common information model.
Right? You know, if you are using a Splunk from SIEM perspective, then only we are doing this mapping. In case you're in data analytics perspective, you know, no, it's not required to do the normalization. Splunk has very good query language. While other SIEM tool like your, ArcSight, QRadar, Sentinel, or other SIEM tool, they are searching the normalized data only, address, destination address. But Splunk, since it is data analytics tool, right? So Splunk has the language which you can use to search the raw data also, parsed data, or any data. Raw data also you can search, which are not even parsed. Parsed data also you can search, and normalized data also you can search. Please, guys, please mute your mic. Lokesh.
Yeah, I was about to ask something.
So once you need to ask, then you unmute and then mute because noise is coming from your end. Understand what I'm saying? That Splunk, from SIEM perspective, you're normalizing. But in case of you a data analytics perspective, right, you might not be normalizing the data. Splunk has very powerful query language using which you can create the dashboard reports, even with the parsed and raw data as well. But in case of security, SIEM, we have to normalize. We have to normalize the data. Yes. Yes. You had a question?
No, I wanted to understand the M stands for module or is it model?
What? Information model. Model.
Okay.
Common information model. CIM, common information model.
So one more question.
Common की spelling यही है ना यार? Common. Yes. Yes.
Can you give me any example where can we use parsing or normalized, data? I mean, you said we can use we can create dashboards using both parsing
Right.
and normalized, right?
Right.
In what scenarios can these come in?
What I'm saying is, see, when you're using Splunk from simple, see, Splunk has a query language that can search, parse data also, raw data also, and normalized data also. All of these three data, you can create the dashboard, report, and everything, right? When you're working on this Splunk, when you're using Splunk for data analytics, अरे यार कौन म्यूट नहीं है यार? Please guys, whenever you don't have any question, please keep your mic on mute. What I'm saying is, in case of data analytics, you might not be normalizing because there are different data sources. Then normalizing the data is a headache because you have to create the mapping, parsing. I will tell you how the data can be normalized. You have to use regular expressions, right? So in case of data analytics, not required to be normalized, right? But in case of SIEM perspective you're using, right? Security analysts, right, may get confused while analyzing the data. So when you use Splunk, from SIEM perspective, you have to install one application that is Splunk Enterprise Security. It has pre-built many dashboard, report, and everything. So they already have query to populate the data on the dashboard. So they use the query on the normalized field set only. The inbuilt query or whatever you have dashboard report, they can only populate the data if your data is normalized, because they have out of the box many reports, dashboard, rules, alerts, everything, and they have queried normalized field set only. So if field set is not matching because you have raw or parse field set, not this field set, then the data will not be populated on your SIEM Splunk Enterprise Security, that is SIEM module. Get in mind? That is the reason it's very important to get your data normalized when you're using Splunk from SIEM perspective. We'll understand practically and later also how we get data normalized. Understand? Clear?
Thank you.
Okay. So data, yes.
Yeah. So normalization and parsing has been done under Splunk enterprises.
Where it is happening, I will tell you where it is happening. Okay, you only understand as of now that it does the parsing and but while other SIEM tool collect the logs, do the parsing and normalization at the same time while collecting, while you're a Splunk, because I will tell you, while you're Splunk, while it is collecting, it does the parsing, but it does not do normalization. Normalization happen on the different stage while you search the logs. The data we stored will be parsed data, but not normalized. Get it? While you're searching the logs, right? That time it will populate result on the normalized field. Get it? So normalization happening on the different stage. I will tell you, I will give the detailed information on that because people are from different background, they may not understand at this stage. Got it? Understand? So
Yes,
it's
sir.
common format we call as common information model, right? So parsing, normalization happen on different stage while collecting the logs. So if you want to write, you can write somewhere, right? In this Splunk, while Splunk collect the logs, it parse the logs. Parsing on the Splunk happening during the collection of the logs. Once you get the logs, device integrate, during collection of the logs, it parse the logs. While so parsing happening at a time of collection of the logs, while parsing happening at the time of collection of the logs. Parsing happening at the time of collection of the logs. While normalization happens during the search time in this Splunk. during the search time in this Splunk. While parsing happens during the search time in this Splunk. Normalization like the normalization. While normalization happens during the search time in this Splunk. Parsing happens during the collection of the logs in the Splunk, while normalization happens during the search time in this Splunk. How normalization
We
happen?
can update, Sulabh, we can update instead of time, like we can mention logs, right? During the logs. Normalization happened during the search time, you are told, right? So searching the logs, right? It will be quite good.
Searching the logs, huh? While searching means searching the logs. Means while you're searching the logs, that time normalization will happen.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Huh? क्या? How क्या लिखवाया था? नहीं, however, normalization happen during the search time, means searching the logs. Okay, so you understand, right? So that is one thing. We understand it were very difficult. Now you can log in the Splunk, search router log, firewall logs. At the time of attack, you don't have to log in on each and every devices. And again, is also logs are proper formatted logs, common format. You can, but you understand, right? At the time of attack, right? Searching billions of logs, normalizing, and also today somehow you came to know somebody is being attacked. That time you can search the log, you can investigate. But in big IT infrastructure, you'll have billions of logs coming per day. Your firewall itself generate millions of logs per day, billions of logs, I will say, billions of logs per day, and you have so many devices, maybe 500,000 of devices. You may get 15,000, 20,000 even per second. You understand, right? Per second, 15,000. Then 1 minute, how many? 15,000 into 60. How many? 90 lakhs. 90 lakhs or 90,000? 90 lakhs, right? 9 lakhs or 90 lakhs, right? Means almost 1 crore in 1 minute. 1 hour in 1 day. Billions of logs. Yes or no? So in this example, so somehow you came to know your company is being attacked. So you log in the your SIEM tool and search the logs. But attacker do not wait for attacker do not give the information all the time to you. That okay, today I'm going to attack. So you whenever I do that, I will tell you that you can search the log and identify. Yes or no? Attacker may attack anytime. That means in that case, we should monitor the activity which are happening across the network. In case any abnormal, unusual activity found, then in that case, we can dig down, we can take the action. Yes or no? For example, so in this case, in case of malicious activity found, that time but we cannot keep an eye. If you keep an eye, so you understand whatever activity is happening, it will record in the form of logs. But you have billions of logs here. You cannot open each and every log and understand, okay, this is suspicious, this is not suspicious. Billions of logs. Can you monitor billions of logs here manually? Even though now you don't have to log in on each and every devices, but billions of logs are coming on the SIEM. You cannot open and check, okay, this is malicious, this is not malicious, or this set of logs are malicious. Very, very difficult. For example, this is one of the Windows machine has been compromised. This particular user has logged in and he logged in on the Windows and he received an email which seems to be legitimate, and he ended up opening that email, and it was actually malware. Yes or no? And machine got infected. See, I'm telling you that this whole example I have given very deep dive example, right? In this 9-day session. So if you are new, you do not understand this scenario, then I will recommend you to watch those 9 days. Who are completely new in this technology and not understanding this example. Deep dive knowledge I have given those sessions. You can reach out to me, or I will share the link in the group itself. So what I'm telling is, it was phishing email, and he opened the malicious software malware, and resulting the malware infected the system, means attacker has created a backdoor. Now, once the malware will get installed, it will try to connect to attacker command and control server to give the control. Now, attacker compromises machine and controlling this machine. Now, at this machine is compromised, right? Means attacker got the control. Now you logged in this machine, right? And attacker is also logged in because attacker is controlling the machine, controlling this machine, right? You do some activity, but some other activity is also happening. Some robotical work are happening, right? Means you are not doing, but it is happening robotically, right? That means the machine is infected, and this we call as what we install bot. Robotic activity is bot. Bot is short form of robot. Means bot has been installed. Machine has been compromised with bot. Bot is nothing but the robot, short form of robot. Bot, right? After this robot means bot, means attacker may have, so understand, if any machine is compromised with malware, it can perform multiple action based on the objective of the attacker, maybe taking down the data, exfiltrating the data, sending the data to attacker, this software, right? Or maybe manipulating some important information, modifying the information, yes, or deleting some information, yes or no? Or might be attacker might have intention to create the botnet. Yes or no? Botnet means this machine is infected and attacker is taking the control. Maybe attacker wants to take the control of other machine also. To create the botnet, botnet is nothing but the group of compromised computers. One computer is compromised, you call a bot. If multiple computers are compromised and attacker is controlling the network of compromised computer, we call as botnet, right? The botnet is nothing but the network or a group of compromised computer. Now, once this particular computer is compromised, it will try to log in and get the control of other machine, right? Maybe other user has not opened the email or not got the email, so it cannot create the backdoor directly. Now, getting the username, because attacker is already inside, getting the username is not very difficult. Attacker may install some brute force software here. You understand? Each and every company will have a desktop laptop with user ID password authentication enabled, right? So attacker may enter username and multiple combination of password. So there is a software we call as brute force software. So after compromising this machine, attacker may deploy certain mode software. One of the software can be brute force software. Now, brute force software has the capability to, to enter multiple combination of username password within a short period of time. Being a human, 50, 60 times you can enter maybe in a minute. One, not happening, then second, then third, one by one. But this attacker has this software has capability. You can define the username and it will have the library of different thousands of password, lakhs of password. You can set the frequency 1000 times in 1 minute. It will try 1000 times logging with different password or one password with different username. Get it? Maybe if any of the combination will work, that means attacker will gain the control of that machine also. Yes or no? But you know that every attempt, for example, one attempt done by software, login, wrong password, wrong credential, login failed. Again, second, wrong password or credential, login failed, login failed, login failed. Even, for example, 100 times is trying in 1 minute. Every time, wrong credential, login failed. Yes or no? Understand? So you understand? So if you are seeing in the network, then one of the user name, whose name is Shubham, right? Login from one of the machine source IP and login taking the remote of other machine. This is the destination IP with the username Shubham, and he try 100 times in 1 minute, and login got failed 100 times. So don't you think that is a matter of concern? You understand? 1 time, 2 time, 3 time login failure is a common, right? Because maybe he entered the wrong password, he forgot the password. After 3, 4 times, he will call to service desk, help desk, and reset the password. But if you see the login failed attempt within short period of high number, 100 times, more than 100 times within short period of time, isn't it a matter of concern? And it is possible that somebody is trying to do the brute force to get the unauthorized access. Yes or no? So in this case, for example, you understand if there are 100 login, for example, 100 login failure from same username within 2 minutes, if you receive on your SIEM, it can be the matter of concern. It can be a brute force attempt. Somebody is trying to do the brute force. Now you would like to monitor such event, but you understand billions of log coming in. For example, one login failure come, and within second, some other logs came from firewall, proxy, and all. It's not something that you monitor here and 100 logs of brute force only, login only will come at the same time. A mix of logs, because at the same time, some other devices also forwarding the logs. So do you think that
question.
One minute. Do you think that you can monitor 100 or this billions of different logs and 100 logs in between all different logs? You can't, right? Yes.
If you're using since I know in most companies they normally lock the account after 3 attempts of login. How do attacker able to do like 100 times attempt of logging, and after the third it will just the account will lock itself? How do they do it and get the access?
You meant to say that within 3 to 4 attempts of 5 attempts, account will get locked out. That's what you're asking, right?
Yes.
That is expected question. I was expecting this question somebody might ask, and I'm explaining this in each and every session also, right? That to detect this brute force attempt, to secure your devices with brute force attempt, we implement the lockout policies. Either you're logging on the banking application or any critical application of Facebook, you're logging multiple times. You're logging. It lasts 2-factor authentication as well as sometimes account will get disabled. Yes or no? A banking application 3 times you log in, account will get disabled for 24 hours. Yes or no? Similarly, in Windows also, company will have these lockout policies. 3 times, 5 times you log in, account will get disabled. Yes or no? Then why? If account will get disabled, then why we should? This is the matter of concern. There are chances. In the companies, attacker also knows the lockout policy, but in companies, there are some account where the exception has been raised, some special request exception. These account we call a service account to run any script or any program in the background, right? Some account will have exception policies of no lockout. So in case we are seeing such attempt for service account, maybe brute force is possible, right? In case the attempt of 100 in 2 minutes is for normal account, but I understand it cannot be compromised. Attacker cannot gain the access. If your account gets locked out in 5 attempts, in 6th attempt onward, if you enter the right credential also, you'll no longer be able to access a login. The account got locked out. But don't you think that if you see 100 event, even we understand that account can not be compromised because we have lockout policy. But if you see 100 attempts, more than 100 in short period of time, still it is a matter of concern. But since compromise and attacker cannot gain the access, that is the reason this activity we consider under the low severity case. This is not a high severity case, it's a low severity case because we understand brute force is not possible here. But it is still a matter of concern because especially for Windows device, for example, Windows devices, these devices have internal IP address. Yes or no? If somebody is trying to access, means attacker is already inside. Attacker cannot access your Windows machine from outside, right? If you are seeing such machine, if there is a possibility of brute force, means attempt, means attacker is already inside. Attacker has already compromised one machine. That reason it is trying to brute force. Even brute force is not possible now. So it's a matter of concern. We should investigate how come this machine is trying to log in this machine. There are some chances of false positive. Maybe somebody has created a script to automate some activity from this system to this system. For example, this system has some files which has to transfer daily basis on this system. Some activity has to be done on the system. So somebody may create a script, but if you're transferring anything from this system to this system, you have to enter the username and password of this system. So he has created a script. So he has access to both same username, have access to the system also and this system also. So this person has created a script and enter his username and password in the script to automate this activity. Every time, whenever a file transfer happen, this file will move to the system and first of all, he log in and then send the file. Every time login, send, login, send, login, send. Yes or no? To automate this activity. Of course, if I need to send and keep the file here, I need script has to log in. And username and password you have given on the script. But after some time, you got a prompt that your password is going to expire. Then you change your system password, but you did not change the password in the script. But a script, a program is a program, right? It will not understand, okay, failed, so I will stop. Now, next time you forgot to change the password in the script. Now, script will try to log in again, resulting high number of login failure will be generated. And majority of time, this case will be false positive only. Some user might have said some script and resulting this kind of high number of login failure will be generating. Yes or no? That is the reason this attempt will be low severity attempt, but still even 99.9%, the chances of false positive only, but 0.1% chances is still there. Yes or no? That's the reason we consider as an incident, we investigate. Understand? If it is a compromise activity, we have to find out from where the attacker has, where the malware has come, how machine is got infected. Maybe somebody has downloaded a malware through email, through web. How many users have received same emails? Further investigation we have to do in that case. But these are rare chances. That is the reason we consider low severity. And this is one of the incident which will trigger on a daily basis in any company if you're working on the SOC. High number of Windows login failure, brute force attempt, Windows brute force attempt. This is one of the most firing alert, most firing incident. Got it now? Understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Understood, right? So now if I want to monitor this activity, I understand single event, one event, two login failure is not suspicious activity. When I see 50 login failure, then I'll consider the matter of concern. But 50 attempt one by one, I cannot monitor because at the same time, many thousands of logs are coming in. We cannot keep monitoring billions of logs. So in that case, even we have SIEM, it's a difficulty, right? Then in that case, I mean to say, even we have this feature collecting the logs, normalizing, keeping the log for long-term searching and reporting, still monitoring the real time is very, very difficult. In that case, we can ask our SIEM to monitor on behalf of us, right? We can tell the SIEM, you monitor each and every logs which are coming in, you monitor, and in case you find any suspicious activity, you fire an alert. So instead of monitoring billions of logs, we'll only investigate few alerts, 100 to 100 alerts or 300 alerts in a day. It will be very good, right? Yes or no? Instead of monitoring billions of logs, if your SIEM can monitor on behalf of you and generate an alert in case such condition matches. SIEM said, okay, I will do that for you. But on what basis? I will evaluate, okay, this is particular event is suspicious or set of events are suspicious. How will I come to know? And then I decide. And in that case, if I come to know what action I have to take. Yes or no? So in that case, we have to define and tell to the SIEM on what basis it can decide particular event or set of event in the specific. Yeah. Ram. Yeah. Guys, make sure that you keep in mic mute. Otherwise, I have to remove you from the meeting. Anybody. You cannot tolerate this. If you are muting, not listening, that means you are not listening to the class. Then you should not be in the class. Yes or no? You're not listening and disturbing others. So what I was telling in that case, we can ask our SIEM to monitor each and every event. And if any event is suspicious or set of events are suspicious, it should trigger an alert. So in that case, SIEM is asking what basis I can decide. So in that case, we have to tell SIEM because it's a application, right? It's not a human. It's an application. So in that case, we have to define the condition. For example, if you want to monitor, it's single login failure is not a suspicious activity, right? With 50 login failure, in that case, we can define the condition of Windows login failure. Condition means query, yes or no? The condition or query, you define the query for Windows login failure, so that your SIEM can understand, okay, it's the login failure condition. Log matches condition, it's a login failure, Windows login failure, right? Then, not every Windows login failure should generate an alert, because I want 50 login failure in 2 minutes. Then I have to define condition. Then your type called aggregation. Aggregation means how many events in how much time. Right? For example, if there are 50 events in 2 minutes, in Splunk, you have less than, more than, equal to option also in the Splunk. If there are more than 50 events, then trigger alert, right? Yes or no? Understand? So what happens is, unlike that, for example, ArcSight. In ArcSight, while you're writing the condition, right, whenever any event come, this condition will be in the door of the SIEM. One first event come, it will start start time. For example, you are given 2 minutes, 50 event. Time will start once the first matching will come. Once 50 event come, it will generate an alert. Right? This your some tool do like this. Once first event come, time will start. Means while events are coming, that time they monitor. While in case of a Splunk, for example, you have got 2 minutes, 50 event. Right? So a Splunk work like whenever event comes, it will store on the database. Then every 2 minutes, it will query the database for matching logs. Every time it will query, kind of schedule query. Every 2 minutes, it will send the query to the database. Matching event 50? No. Next time 50 matching event 50 in 2 minutes? No. Again, next 2 minutes, it will search 50 event? No. More than 50 event? No. Right? If it is matching, then trigger an alert. Yes or no? Understand? So you can write if there are 50 event in 2 minutes. So this is, you can see the condition plus aggregation. Yes, so it's correlating, right? It's correlating condition and aggregation. So this is called as this is called as correlation searches or correlation rule. In some tool we call as correlation rules. The most famous word is correlation rules. Yes or no? In Splunk we call as correlation searches, because this condition query we call as search query, right? In the case of Splunk language, we call as correlation searches. What we call as correlation searches. So condition plus aggregation we call as correlation. It's correlating, right? If aggregation match with condition is not matching, it will not trigger an alert, right? It should match completely. Condition also and aggregation also means correlating, right? That's the reason we call as correlation rule or correlation search. In this Splunk we call as correlation searches.
Use case.
Some people call as use case, but use case is not only the correlation search. Your dashboard report, right? All we call as correlation search, all we call as use cases. But 95% people, what they understand correlation rule we call as use cases, right? Yes or no? But correlation rule is one of the use case. Correlation rule is one of the use cases. Your dashboard report is also the part of use case only. But 95% people, what they understand, the correlation rule we call as use cases. They understand use case means correlation rule only. But use case is the broad word we are using for dashboard report. Correlation rule, all we call as use cases only. Understand? So, so if anybody understand, Splunk understand, do you have experience in creating a use case? That means he's asking whether do you have experience in creating correlation rules. Yes or no? So you understand, in this case, we can ask our Splunk to monitor on behalf of us in terms of this correlation rule. So real-time monitoring means real-time, all the logs are coming in, real-time it is monitoring, correlating, it's correlate. And then after that, it will ask what action has to be taken. If this condition matches, what action has to be taken? One action to generate an alert. On your SIEM tool, either Splunk, QRadar, or ArcSight, you can see the alert on the console. That alert we call as notable event. In case of Splunk, that alert we call as notable, or you can call as alert, or you can call it incident. That is what being monitored by security analyst, right? Once this alert condition matches on the SIEM, those now, instead of monitoring billions of logs, those 100, 200 alert or notable event or incident that we are going to monitor. Yes or no? So this feature of your SIEM real-time monitoring, correlating and alerting, this is going to help security analyst security team not to monitor billions of logs. Now we'll have several correlation rule on our SIEM. Maybe 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, based on the company to company, how many different type of devices you're having. Maybe 50, 60, 70 rule you have. Yes or no? And whenever such condition matches, it will trigger and alert. Now 100, 200 alert you'll monitor, and that too also can be minimized. Sometime alert trigger you investigated, it's not a true, it's a false positive. False positive, true positive means whenever any alert trigger, for example, alert trigger, Windows brute force attempt. But when you investigated, you found it's not a brute force, it's a legitimate activity. That particular alert is you call as true positive or false positive. What?
False positive.
False positive.
Many times countries will writing. They are
One will be twice true positive, another false positive. We have to fine tune so that it will not fire again and again, because same condition, same rule is firing again and again. Same condition, we already investigating one case, it is fire, right? So when the rule said brute force attempt and a trigger, alert said it's a brute force attempt, and when you investigated, you also found the same. Yes, it is a brute force attempt. That alert we call as true positive. When alert says it's a brute force attempt, when you investigate, you found it's not a brute force, it's legitimate activity. That alert we call as false positive, right? The security analyst will be monitoring this incident 100, 200 and check true positive, false positive. In case of true positive incident, they will follow the SOP, standard operating procedure, how to investigate, to whom we have to report and everything, and they will raise an incident on that for further action. And in case false positive, if any of the alerts is firing false positive, Windows brute force attempt, Windows brute force alert, that correlation rule that you have created, 95% time it is firing false positive. So unnecessarily it is giving work to you. Unnecessarily you have to monitor and you have to investigate every time. Then you can suggest some changes. That is called as fine tuning. So minimize the number of alerts. Unnecessarily it is firing, right? So 100, 200, 300 alerts which are firing, right? If we understand in what situation it is firing false positive, we can change or modify the condition or aggregation on the rule so that it should not trigger false positive. Even 200, 300 steps which are firing, we can further minimize if we can do the fine tuning. Understand? Yes or no? So let's understand. So SIEM have the two features. SIEM have the two feature. One is real-time monitoring, correlation alerting. One is collecting the real-time logs from network device, security device, servers, application databases. Once it collect, it normalize the logs, keep the log for a long time, searching and reporting. And other is real-time monitoring, correlation, and alerting. So once this condition matches, you can configure the action. What action has to be taken? One is to trigger an alert on the console itself. You can see. Another is send email notification. So you can get an alert on the email also. Create an auto ticket. You can create an auto ticket on the ServiceNow or ITSM or any Jira or any other service-based application service. Means your what we call as service request, any applications, right? That you can do. Apart from that, Splunk, they have multiple other actions and can be customized also. Splunk is highly customizable because Splunk is not only SIEM tool, it's highly customized. Many other things can be customized in the Splunk, which we cannot customize in other SIEM tools. Get it mind? So we can set that and you can monitor it, right? So let's write what is SIEM. Write the definition. What is SIEM? Mostly people for the Splunk, right? What is SIEM actually? SOC guys are already written, but mostly it is for people who are joining the Splunk first time. They have never joined any SIEM training. So what is SIEM? So SIEM stand for, SIEM means SIEM, right? SIEM stand for
Security information and event management.
right. Security information and event management. Stand for security information and event management. It's a centralized tool. It's a centralized tool. centralized tool which collect the real-time logs. Real-time logs from network devices. From network devices. Security devices. Servers. Applications. Database, etc. ETC मतलब और भी कुछ चीजें हो सकती हैं, और कोई भी डिजिटल डिवाइस, कोई और भी डिजिटल डिवाइस हो तो ये भी हो सकता है IoT डिवाइसेस एटसेट्रा. Network device, security device, servers, application, etc. Database, etc. Once it collect the logs, 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 it parse की स्पेलिंग ये होती है ना यार, नहीं, it parse the logs. SH होती है क्या? SH.
SC.
SE, हाँ.
PARAC.
हाँ, it once it parse the logs, it parse the logs. Once it collect the logs, it parse the logs, parse the logs, normalize the logs, normalize the logs, and keep the log for long time. And keep the log for long time. ये तो ऑब्जेक्टिव है ना. आपकी कार है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू हैव अ कार, राइट? आइदर यू हैव होंडा सिटी, टोयोटा, होंडा और टोयोटा, हुंडई, all are having steering, 4 wheels and everything, right? It's common technology. Accessories will be different, different features, some extra feature will be different, right? Similarly, these are common objective for any SIEM tool. So what I said, it collect the logs and keep the log for long time, right? Pass the logs, normalize the logs, and keep the log for long time, and enable the searching and reporting feature. And enable the searching. That means we can search the logs, right? We can analyze the logs and download the logs in various format, right? That is searching, and that comes under searching and reporting. Enable searching and reporting feature. That means you can search the logs, right? Analyze and download the report. And next paragraph, SIEM means SIEM. Means SIEM. Also enables the feature of SIEM also enables the feature of real-time monitoring, correlation and alerting. Real-time monitoring, correlation and alerting. To also enable the feature of real-time monitoring, correlation and alerting. Written? Understand, right? That is SIEM feature, right? That we can achieve from SIEM. You know what happens when this technology came first time? It was we used to call it SIEM, SIM only, not SIEM. Security Information Management. It has only first feature: collecting the logs, normalizing and keeping the log for long, searching and reporting. It's kind of log management solution. It was kind of event management or log management solution, right? Later on, the feature has been added and it has become SIEM, right? Even when the Splunk started public offering in 2010, they had only data analytics feature. Splunk used to be used in the data analytics purpose only. When this Splunk observed later period that SIEM is booming in the market now, and companies are deploying SIEM tools, Splunk identified that we already have the log management feature. That means we are already collecting the logs from different devices, searching and reporting. We already have, keeping the logs we already have. If we can add one more feature for real-time monitoring, security monitoring, alerting, then we can also become a SIEM tool. Yes or no? Understand what I'm saying? That means we just have to add the one more feature for real-time monitoring, correlation, alerting, so that Splunk can also be used for security purpose. Yes or no? The Splunk core architecture has been designed for data analytics only, because formerly Splunk was data analytics tools only. Once they seen the demand from SIEM perspective in the market, then they only introduce the SIEM feature. In the core architecture, what are the components are coming in the core architecture? I'll explain you, but let me tell you that this is the core architecture. For example, this is the core architecture of the Splunk. We'll understand core architecture. In this, which was being used for data analysis, they have added SIEM feature, and they have added now in the core architecture. They were not able to do any changes on the core architecture, right? Then they have added one more SIEM feature in the form of application. They said that, okay, we will deploy in this core architecture, which is collecting the logs, searching and reporting, keeping this for a long time. We enable the real-time monitoring, correlation, alerting. So they said that now we can install one application core architecture. That application is called as Splunk Enterprise Security. Splunk Enterprise Security. Splunk Enterprise Security. Now, in this core component, this core architecture, if we can install Splunk Enterprise Security, it has all feature: real-time monitoring, correlation alerting. You can have a dashboard where you monitor all incident, right? The correlation rule, security-related dashboard is an inbuilt dashboard. Okay, top 10 source IP, top 10 destination IPs, this attack, all those stuff. It is having inbuilt, and you can customize also in Splunk Enterprise Security. So if you are not deploying this application on Splunk in this core architecture, will not call a Splunk as SIEM. Yes or no? Understand what my point? If you do not deploy this application on the core architecture, you will not call a Splunk as a SIEM without having a Splunk Enterprise Security. Once you have a Splunk Enterprise Security deployed in your core architecture, then only you call a Splunk SIEM, right? In the market, majority of the opportunity, you will see Splunk with SIEM. That means Splunk as a security, as a SIEM. Many of the opportunity, majority of opportunity nowadays is Splunk, you see, for Splunk from cyber security perspective. I had several people always in previous batches also who are working on the Splunk, already as administrator or something, but they want to get into security from SIEM perspective. They do not know the ABCD of cyber security. But since they have working on the Splunk and they know the market is good for cybersecurity SIEM perspective, then they learn cybersecurity. So switch, on the cybersecurity from a Splunk SIEM perspective. Understand? Clear? So if you are not deploying this extra application, means Splunk is not. And this extra application, there is a license required. This core architecture, we call Splunk Enterprise. I will tell you, Splunk Enterprise, which is freely available for 60 days. Means you can collect the data, search out the data, get the data normalized, but it cannot do the real-time monitoring correlation. That means it does not have Splunk Enterprise Security. If you want to deploy Splunk Enterprise Security, there is no evaluation license available. There is no free trial available for this. So if you're learning Splunk, you think that market Splunk is very good for Splunk, right? But you do not know that Splunk have two features to work. You are thinking that Splunk has good from security perspective. You go on outside and started learning Splunk. But where you learn, they never introduce Splunk Enterprise Security because they do not have a license. And you ended up learning only Splunk core architecture. You have never seen this console of Splunk Enterprise Security where we do the real-time monitoring, correlation alerting. Then the knowledge is not completed from SIEM perspective. Get your mind clear? So we have the license for that. Good thing is we have a license for that, right? So we'll have both for core architecture and for Splunk Enterprise Security also. You will have access to. Understand? Now, let's understand Splunk, where we can deploy. See, these SIEM tools, Splunk, 𝐓𝐽𝐬𝐧𝐤, 𝐶radar, or all the SIEM tools, these big, popular these SIEM tools are enterprise level application, enterprise level of tools. That means it's not something that, okay, you have one application, one tool, which you can deploy on once only, right? To perform all the functionalities, they have multiple components. And consolidated, we call it Splunk, or consolidated, we call it 𝐓𝐽𝐬𝐧𝐤, consolidated, we call it 𝐶radar. It's not something only one component does all the work. Enterprise, these are enterprise level of tools. They have multiple components to perform different activities to load balance. Means they are having architecture. These components are connected to each other, to perform these activities. Got it? So they are having own architecture, how these own components are connected with each other, right? So for configuration, deployment configuration may take a year also, because you deploy the SIEM own component, then get the logs from thousands of different devices. Yes or no? Configuring Splunk, configuring own devices takes time, because in the company you cannot do it anytime. Some company may have some change request also. You have to wait for Saturday, Sunday to do the changes, because whenever you're collecting the logs on your Splunk or any SIEM tool, some configuration you have to do in the tool end also, and some configuration you have to do in the device end. Yes or no? So it takes time. Sometimes you may have to wait for weekend. Sometimes your changes you're doing may not be allowed anytime. So you may have to change request, get the approval, then do the changes. So this deployment configuration activity, sometimes 6 months, something in a year also to get it stabilized. These are big tools. May cost 2 to 3 crores in any enterprise network, licensing and deployment cost.
For Sentinel, this is not the case, right, sir?
I'm telling you here. Now, deployments. Now Splunk, where we can deploy, right? Splunk is available. Two kind of deployment. One is on premises, and another is Splunk cloud. Splunk is available in the cloud also and on premises also. On premises means own data centers. Get it, mind? You understand cloud? Everybody is aware of the cloud. That is where we can deploy in the sky. You understand, right? Cloud. Everybody aware of the cloud? Anybody know here who does not know what is cloud, or why companies are going towards cloud? Is there anybody here who do not know? You can tell me honestly. Okay, so let me tell you that. Give a brief, introduction. For example, your name is Shubham, right? Shubham, and his wife. His wife is not working, right? His wife is not working. So they have kitchen set up, they buy groceries also, and they cook their food because his wife is free, right? He's cooking the food herself. She is cooking the food herself. But if they are cooking the food for her themselves, right? So in this case, they have to set up the kitchen, gas, stoves, groceries, everything they have to buy themselves. Get it, mind? This is called as on-premises. This is called as on-premises. Cloud means Shubham and his wife both are working. They do not have time because they are busy. They are ready to pay if someone else can cook for them. Get it, mind? If someone else can cook for them, they're ready to pay, but they do not want to take the headache. They want to focus on their core work. Whenever they want to get some time to relax, right? They can't. So they can order from Swiggy and Zomato. Yes or no? But Swiggy and Zomato definitely have the kitchen, but they are benefited and they are having advantage. Why? Because they are not cooking only for you. There are many such people like you who are giving order to them. So they have one kitchen and they are taking multiple orders. Yes or no? We call it cloud kitchen. Similarly here, managing. So for example, you are having network devices, right? Network device, security device, servers for small companies like you guys, you and your wife, only 2 people. If you want to cook yourself, time. Second thing, kitchen, grocery, everything you have to buy. Instead of that, you can order. Somebody else can cook for you, just to order and eat. That is called cloud. But somewhere it is there, right? Somewhere your kitchen is there, right? It's common kitchen, but somewhere it is there, right? Means your devices are deployed somewhere. Yes or no? That we call as cloud. But so in this case, if you're a small companies, they have network device, security device, server applications. Instead of deploying and configuring the data, so that if the place where we deploy such device, we call it data center. Data center is a separate facility where you deploy all your network device, security device, server application data, etc. But this data center required multiple things: power availability 24/7, internet availability 24/7, very tight physical security. Very tight physical security. साजन यार क्या कर रहे हो तुम? Again I'm unmuting in between. So what I was telling? क्या बोल रहा था मैं?
High security.
I was telling not only digital security, you have all the firewall, digital firewall, different devices for digital security, right? Maybe physical thieves will come inside and destroy your devices. So this data center should have very tight physical security. Then management also, network guys, security guys, your field engineers, means multiple things are required to manage. So if you have only 100, 200 devices, 100 devices, for example, a small company, but security and everything will be common, means either you cook for 2 people or you cook for 10 people. You should have kitchen, you should have a stove, you should have some grocery you have to buy, and one shop and you have to buy. Yes or no? But if you are 2 people, then it's a headache for you, right? Instead of buying, it's a lesser cost, you can get and order it. Similarly, instead of managing this for 100 devices only, you can outsource it and deploy in the cloud and go the cloud. But if you have 10 people in your home, 10 people, if you order from Swiggy and Zomato, can you afford every day? No, right? It will be costly. So maybe the company will having 100,000 devices, 2,000 devices, they may have their own data center. They may not prefer cloud all the time. They may prefer own data center because the cost of deployment management will be lesser compared to the cloud. Cloud, so data center means your own on-premises, means your devices are hosted on your own premises. Means your own facility, own security, own team, own troubleshooting, everything we call as on-premises, means own data center. Cloud means it's again a data center, but somewhere else, somebody else is managing. Now management also multiple type of cloud. You have infrastructure as a service, you have platform as a service, software as a service. Infrastructure means you deploy a server. They will configure a server, but they'll manage the server. You deploy your own operating system and own tool. That is called infrastructure as a service. You can have platform as a service. They will deploy server as well as they will also configure the operating system also. You can just deploy your application. They will manage all your server related issues. They will take care. They will take care of operating system related issues. Only application you have to manage yourself. And third one, plug and play, is software as service. Means neither you have to manage your infrastructure, nor you have to manage your server operating system, and nor you have to manage the application. That is called as software as a service. So Splunk, which is available in the cloud, it is software as a service. In that case, you don't need to deploy software also. It is plug and play. You just have to configure based on your usage. No configuration of the server. If you're deploying the on-premises, first of all, you have to buy a server. Configure the RAM, CPU, IP address networking you have to do. Then you have to deploy your SIEM, your Splunk. Then all Splunk related problems, software related problem, hardware related problem, server related problem, operating system related problem, everything you have to take care yourself. Some companies who are fake, companies this headache, they outsource to the cloud. Not only SIEM, but other devices also the cloud. The cloud SIEM tools are good for mostly the companies which are having mostly devices already in the cloud. For example, if you are using Microsoft Sentinel, if you're already having Microsoft Defender, Microsoft Windows hosted in the cloud, all the servers, applications hosted in the cloud. If you're using Microsoft Sentinel, it will be easy for you to integrate also. Single click, you can integrate all the Defender, Microsoft 365, and different devices, because all are the same network, and Microsoft have configured and designed the network in such a way, it will be easy for you to integrate. But if your majority of devices are there on the on-premises, right? On-premises solution will be better for you, because unnecessarily you will be transferring the logs to the cloud. And again, if you can manage all these tools yourself, you can manage SIEM also, right? That's the reason it depends on the requirement, which you have to go for, whether you're on-premises or the cloud. Unnecessarily, why to pay extra? Of course, cloud will be managing everything. So if you can manage other tool, you can manage your SIEM also, infrastructure. You already have network team, you already have physical security team, you already have server team, you already have field engineer. In that case, you may go with the on-premises instead of cloud. But if you already have all the tool in the cloud, most of the majority of the component of the tools in the cloud, why you'll go only from this on-premises? So if you are going with the cloud, no need to do any, all overhead will be gone. Management overhead will be gone. It's a software as service. For example, Splunk software as service. You got URL, user ID, and password. Directly you can access and configure based on your requirement. Any issues will happen. RAM you have to, for example, your user are showing slowness, no problem. Just one click, they will increase the RAM, CPU, everything. If you want to increase, for example, licensing also, you're seeing more and more logs, no problem. Just one click, you're going to increase the numbers, EPS, and bill will come next month. No need to initiate the process. Okay, high number of logs are coming. Initiate to upgrade the license, then vendor management, everything will come, licensing management, then approval, then get the license and install the license. Right? This overhead can be overcome by going with the cloud solution. Easy to manage, and you don't have to take the overhead. Understand? Here in our class, we're talking from on-premises perspective, so that we can configure design, configuration, deployment, clustering, everything. Understand? Otherwise, cloud, I not talk about all those stuff. It's simple, just configuration. Understand? The architecture, clustering, everything does not fall under the cloud.
One question.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I am having a SIEM of on-premises, so can I integrate cloud devices also?
Yes, you can do that. Vice versa can be done. Splunk is on cloud, or you have on-premise devices, you can integrate. You have devices in the cloud, but Splunk is enterprise on-premise, you can do that. Similarly, for other SIEM tool like Sentinel, on-premise devices also can forward the logs to this cloud, and cloud devices also. Anyways, Sentinel is cloud only. Cloud logs also it can collect, and on-premises logs also it can collect.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, sir. Where will practice on hands-on on-premise?
See, for what I'm saying is, for SOC batch, right? For everybody, Splunk Enterprise Security access, you will get it here. Searching and reporting Splunk Enterprise Security, because license is not free. You cannot install in your own. But for advanced batch, we'll be going with a complex architecture, deploying, configuration, complex, clustering, everything. So you need multiple component. You need 6 servers. So that deployment you have to do in the cloud. I will share one video. If you have never used cloud, how you can take the advantage of a Splunk free cloud free license, right? Azure, and you can deploy all the component in the cloud to configure, right? In the SOC batch, we'll be covering only one instance, because in this advanced batch, you need to be good in Linux. All the component we are going to deploy in Linux only, right? And that is advanced level. For SOC batch, we will not be covering the full architecture and everything. Okay, got it. But Splunk Enterprise Security is not free. So everybody, either from SOC batch or Splunk Advanced batch, everybody will get the access remotely through VPN. So that searching and reporting also you can do. And as well as Splunk Enterprise Security, where we monitor real-time incident monitoring, everything, you can explore this one, because you cannot deploy yourself. You'll be deploying here, and then you'll get the access. Okay, got it? Splunk. So now what happens is Splunk, if Splunk deploy on premises, the Splunk on premises key on premises, right? Is it correct?
Yes.
Or
It's
Splunk
E
cloud?
or E.
Chalo, okay, you better understand,
Yeah,
right? I'm not very good in this. Splunk cloud. स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक करता हूं मैं, आजकल क्या फोन की आदत हो गई, छिन जाता उसमें डायरेक्ट. तो Splunk cloud, when you talk about Splunk deploy on premises, that instance we call as Splunk Enterprise. Splunk Enterprise. When anybody tell you that they have a Splunk Enterprise, that means they have own premises deployment. Get in mind? When anybody refers that they have a Splunk Enterprise, that means Splunk is deployed on their own premises. Understand? If they tell Splunk cloud, then it's on cloud. Understand? Cloud we do not call it Splunk Enterprise, we call it cloud, Splunk cloud. If it is on premises, we use the word Splunk Enterprise. So here we'll be covering Splunk Enterprise. Understand? Clear?
Clear.
Mostly company wide.
अरे सब तो बता दिया यार. सब तुम कि रिक्वायरमेंट के हिसाब से है. अब तुम पूछो क्लाउड क्यों प्रेफर नहीं करती है, पूरा तो बता दिया. तो रामायण खत्म होने के बाद सीधा कहा. Guys, whenever I speak Hindi, that means I am just having some jokes. Will not use Hindi in the whole training, in the technical discussion. Okay, so whenever I am discussing something in Hindi, you understand there is a different discussion altogether. Okay, clear this on prices.
I have a question.
Yes.
One
doubt,
video is getting stuck.
What happened? Any question? I don't think so.
Yeah,
Yes.
sometime video is getting stuck.
Shulabh sir, so there is Splunk Enterprise and then there is Splunk Cloud.
Right.
So Enterprise is on premises and Cloud is on cloud.
On cloud.
That's one difference. Is there
Right.
any? Yeah, that is one difference. Is there any other difference between the two?
No, I was not talking about difference. I was talking about deployment.
Okay.
Right? If your Splunk is deployed on your own premises, own data center, we refer that it is a Splunk Enterprise. When Splunk you are using on cloud, we refer as Splunk Cloud.
Okay.
Difference is all difference. You understood already. You go in the Splunk Enterprise, you have to sizing, configuration, deployment, integration. Integration has to be done on both the cases to you only, but deployment, configuration, security, troubleshooting, everything you have to manage yourself. Understand? Infrastructure. Same difference between cloud and on premises, same difference between the Splunk Cloud and Splunk Enterprise. Understand? Clear? So now we'll be talking about Splunk Enterprise, so that I will have a more deep dive, right? That is the reason we'll be going with the Splunk Enterprise, where we can see the architecture, deployment, and everything. Now let's talk about Splunk architecture. Splunk architecture, you understand there are multiple components which forms your SIEM. Similarly, Splunk has multiple components. There are 3 main components on this Splunk that you have. In Splunk, these are three main components. There are a few more components, but we'll be discussing step by step. No, not like this. It is opposite arrow like this. For example, this is router. I'm just giving an example, okay? In case of data Linux, it may have some other devices, right? But from security perspective, router, switch, firewall, Windows, Linux devices, of course. Windows. Wait, okay, so this components we call as this is forwarder, and this is
Indexer.
Sorry. Indexer, and this is
Search head.
nahi bhai, aisa nahi, it does not mean that. Some people are experienced people, they knows it, they do not have full concept clear, but some people have knowledge, or some people are working on Splunk also. But it does not mean that they have watched the video, then only they know. They might have prior knowledge. So Splunk has three main components: forwarder, indexer, and search head. What do you understand? How can you define this data flow? What do you understand from this this architecture? What do you understand? What is happening here?
Forwarder will collect the logs from all the devices and forward it to indexer. Indexer will store the logs, and search head will use search head to search the log from indexer only.
Okay, so you mean to say forwarder? This is firewall. Okay, this is firewall. Writing thoda acha nahi hai. My writing is not good. So forwarder, indexer, and search heads. What you said? Can you come again?
Forwarder will collect the log from all the devices and forward it to indexer. Indexer will store the logs, and search head will use it as EMC only to search the logs in indexer only.
Right. क्या हो गया? नहीं फिर अंधेरा हो जाएगा फिर. नहीं कम हो रहा है, कम हो जाता है, फिर अंधेरा हो जाता है, फिर वो थोड़ा सा लाइट कम हो जाती है इसमें. हाँ, so you understand, right? And the architecture itself, it suggests, right, a forwarder collect the logs from end devices, a router, such as firewall, means network device, security device, and all, right? And then it forward the logs to the indexer, right? And then a search head search the logs on the indexer, right? It arrow defines like this, right? So your forwarder is the component of Splunk which collect the logs from network device, security device, servers, application, database, etc., as well as any kind of machine which generate the data from data service perspective. It can collect the logs. Once it collect the logs, it can parse the logs. So what it does? So what feature it is having? First is input. Input means collecting. I'm using the technical word same which Splunk uses, right? Splunk calls input. Input means it's collect the logs, means input, right? Input, then parsing, break down the event in the column. Then it can also the filtering. Filtering option also it is having. Filtering means dropping off unnecessarily event. Some event which are coming in non-security event, before it goes to the indexer, you have option to filter out here, drop here only. Instead of storing the unnecessary log using the license, right? Input, parsing, filtering, right? That work will be done by the forwarder. After that, forwarding. Input, parsing, filtering, and forwarding. Understand? Everybody, same page? Clear this? Input, parsing, filtering, and forwarding. Now, once it collect the logs, it parse the log, filter out the unnecessary logs. This is optional. This is optional. Okay, if you want to do only, then only filtering. Otherwise, by default, input, parsing, forwarding. Filtering is the by default disabled. If you want to filter out, then only you have to enable. Okay. Then it will forward the log to the destination, and destination is indexer. Right. So indexer, in indexer, what all things are written? This is written. Have you drawn this architecture?
Yes.
Draw kar lo, kyun nahi banaya idhar? If you have not drawn the architecture, then I'll remove this. Yes, Sajan, always your mic is unmuted.
Yes, sir, I'm muted.
हाँ भैया mute कर के रखो यार. And there's a noise actually from your end. That is the reason. Maybe some problem in mic or some background noise is coming sometime.
So I'll take care of it in future.
So what I'm saying, written this architecture.
Yes.
Hi, sir.
Yes.
I have a question. Let us say my devices are on cloud, but I have deployed Splunk in my enterprise, like in my
Right.
own services. So will that be falling under Splunk Enterprise or Splunk Cloud in that
Nice.
case?
Splunk Enterprise only. If you, all this component, maybe indexer and search head. If indexer and search head are there in your on premises, you call it Splunk Enterprise. Okay. In case of a Splunk Cloud, your forwarder will be there in the Splunk on premises, because forward will collect the logs. It will collect the logs locally and send to the Splunk Cloud. You call it Splunk Cloud only, right? If your indexer and search head are there on your own premises, we will call it Splunk Enterprise on premise deployment. It is. Got it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So written this, right? Now written right. I'll delete this. Erase this. Now what? Once indexer receives the log, what it does? It has input, of course. Input. So indexer has capability to collect the logs from forwarders, and also it can also collect the logs directly from all these devices. Get it mind? It can collect the log from forwarder also, and forwarders I'm using, because there can be multiple forwarders. Get it what I'm saying? It can collect the log from forwarders, multiple forwarders, or directly from the end devices. So input in both the cases, either it is collecting from forwarders or directly from end device. Input means collecting. Then next is parsing. Parsing in second stage is parse the logs, but in what cases it will parse the logs? If it is receiving the log from forwarders, forwarder is already parsing the logs. Yes or no? That is what I'm saying. In case your forwarder is receiving and parsing the logs already, indexer will not have to do parsing. Yes or no? But in case it is directly receiving the log from end devices, the indexer has to do parsing. So that is why we are using forwarders. Because if your indexer is receiving, parsing, filtering, and some other work, keeping the log for a long time, then it will be the overhead for your indexer. To avoid one level of load, we are having forwarder. So the let's forwarder do the forward parsing, and other work let's do the by the indexer. If indexer do the parsing also and some other work, it will be overhead from the Splunk indexer. In small scale deployment, I'll tell you, single instance architecture also Splunk is having, where Splunk can do anything. But that is for a small sub department store or only for POC environment. But enterprise environment, you'll have different component to perform different tasks. Understand? Clear? So here, in case it can do the parsing also, right? And it can receive the log from end device or directly from forwarder. In case it is receiving from end device, then indexer does the parsing. In case it is not coming from forwarder, it would not have to do the parsing, right? After parsing, after that, then licensing. Licensing, right? I will tell you in the later part about Splunk licensing. Splunk use the license. It is not based on the event per second, how many event it is receiving. It calculates based on the size of event. How many GB of data Splunk consider around 200 byte. I will tell you all the licensing separate topic, licensing on the later part. One event size 200 byte. Splunk calculates. In whole day, how many event has came? Every event size flat 200 byte. So how many GB has came? Based on that, we have to buy the license. 100 GB, 10 GB, 15 GB. So here in our lab, we have 10 GB per day license. Get it? Mind? Splunk cost around 2,50,000 per GB. 2,50,000. They can change the price, but current price if you talk about around 2,50,000 per GB. 3 years back before COVID, I bought 2 GB per day license. Around it cost around 5 lakhs, right? But after that, Splunk is leader overall in the market, right? After that, they stopped. They're saying that minimum you have to buy 10 GB per day license. It was a compulsion now to buy 10, even though 11 we don't have that much of logs, right? But it's still minimum license you have to buy 10 GB per day. Get it? They said, okay, no, Chindigiri, we cannot do that. Now we cannot do the retail work. At least minimum 10 GB per day license you have to buy. Splunk is the leader in the market, right? Saying, no, this retail work we cannot do. We are enterprise level of tool. Even 10 GB is not a big, it's a small scale company also cannot go for 10 GB, right? But I bought 2 GB. Why? Because it's just for lab environment, right? But now we have to pay around 23 lakhs per year for 10 GB. So, I mean, you may get some discount also, including discount, including tax, it cost around 23 lakhs Indian rupees per year. So, licensing, so each and every event which are coming, each and every event were coming flat 200 byte. So it will count for the licensing. Is the license? It has the license meter. The indexer has the license meter. Everyone coming over, it will count total, right? The whole day, because GB per day, right? At 12 o'clock, it will count, because that means you're writing everything, right? What you have been sold, you're writing a register. At the end of the day, you're calculating, okay, total how many sales happen. Yes, how many money I have. Similarly, here also a license master. It record how many logs can come, what is the GB, and total how much license you have. 100 GB per day. Then it will check total how much it has been used. It is more than 100 GB, it is a violation. Less than 100 GB, it's not a violation. Yes or no? So each and every log which are coming, it will go through license meter to check license. Then after that, licensing, then indexing. Indexing. License, after license, because you input, parsing, licensing, then indexing. You understand the word index? Where do you see, apart from your Splunk, where did you heard about this word is index, or where you have seen the word is index?
In the documents, while preparing the documents.
While preparing a document, or you see this in book, right? Maybe first page, maybe name of the book,
Yes,
and second, third page you see index. You see the word index, right? So what do you mean by index? What do you find in index? What do you find in the index page?
Headings.
Chapters.
Topics, serial number, chapters, and page numbers.
Right. Okay, this particular topic on page number 1, this particular on 50, for example, this is on 52, this is on 34. This is what we call as index. And why do we need index? Why do we need index? If you don't have index, what will happen?
For searching.
So without index, you cannot search.
Reach to the specific data directly.
To minimize the time to refer the topic.
Right. You can say now, you can conclude that if you index, then you can do the faster searching. Faster searching. Yes or no? If you have index, then if I'm looking for a particular topic, faster you can go on that page number and you can get the topic. And if you don't have index, then every page you have to check, okay, this page, this page, this page. Same thing happening with this Splunk also, right? So Splunk will index the data. The solution scenario where you have option not to index, but by default it will index. Index for fastest searching. There will be, so whenever the data is coming, it will create some search terms. So these are search terms, right? Thales theorem is in page number. Pythagoras theorem is in this number, right? Coulomb rules in this page, right? So these are search terms. Mostly people are searching on this name, right? These are search terms. Similarly, whenever data comes and goes under this pipeline, it will extract some search terms using which people are searching, right? Search terms and create the index file. When Splunk does the indexes, it has two files. Similarly, it has index and then actual data, right? Understand? So indexing means it will have actual data apart from one index file. So whenever you're searching, the query will go to index, then it will point out the search term to your past data. So that search will be faster. If you don't have index, then it has to search on the data itself directly, slower search. That's the reason Splunk used this concept called as indexing. After indexing means it will create two files, right? And then write the data on the disk. The next step after indexing is write the data on the disk. Write the data on the disk. Get I mean? Understand? This whole process after input, parsing, licensing, indexing, this whole process is the pipeline we call as parsing pipeline. The indexing pipeline we call as indexing pipeline. Indexing pipeline, right? If your data go through licensing, indexing, parsing, licensing, indexing, this is called as indexing pipeline. Get it? So understand, receiving the data, parsing, licensing, and indexing. In indexing, this look at two files, right? Those two file name, let me tell you now only, right? Those two file name, everybody's clear, right? Till here, everybody on the same page, no confusion.
Yes.
Okay. So these two files name, what will be? These two files name, one file, two file. This index file name will be TSIDX file. TSIDX. This index file, in short, we call it index file. The full name is TSIDX, means time series index file. You can write. Sometime ask what is TSIDX file, right? Time series index file.
So this is an extension of the file?
Right, this is the name of the file.
Okay.
Name of the file, not extension. It's the name of the file.
You said it's called what?
T for time, S for series, IDX means index. TSIDX. It's actually index file, but time series index file. In short, we call it index file. But it's time because it is based on the time. What time data you are searching, based on that it creates the search terms. So time series index file. Understand? This file name will be raw data. The name is raw data. Raw data, but don't get confused. This is not a raw data. This data is parsed data, parsed. But name of the file is raw data. Got it? अरे यार, पार्सिंग बताया था ना, ब्रेकिंग द इवेंट, parsing breaking the event, right? Parsing and both are different because it time series index file. So whenever you're searching the log, right, it goes to the index file and check what time you're searching. Then it will check searchable term and point out to the raw data, and then it will extract the data and go to the search head, searching on the dashboard, right? So you know what happens in actual in your book. Index size is very small, right? Yes or no? Index file size is small in size, right? Means 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages. A book is big book, you have 2 to 3 pages of index, but it is opposite in case of Splunk. For example, if you have 100 GB of size of total data, including this data size 100 GB, means total storage where the log has been stored on the indexer, right? Size is 100 GB. Then 2/3 plus 1/3. So what do you think that? It will be raw data size 2/3 means past data, but file name is raw data, right? Whenever using raw data means it's actually past data, but file name is raw data, right? So what do you think that 2/3 plus 1/3? 2/3 should be raw data file size and 1/3 should be index file, or 2/3 should be index file and 1/3 should be raw data. What do you think? Total out of 1, 2/3 will be index file and 1/3 raw data, or 1/3 raw data and 2/3 index. I mean, vice versa. What do you think?
I think
The
2/3
index
will be raw.
should be
Vice versa.
Means what?
1/3 is
Maybe 2/3 raw data and
index.
1/3 index.
Why then what that is
Yeah.
index?
1/3 is index and 2/3 is
Raw
raw data.
data. Yeah.
Okay. क्या ये तो try and hit method है. The answer is opposite. 2/3 will be the index file size, and 1/3 will be if you have 100 GB of total storage size, then out of 100 GB you will see full size of index file 66 GB will point something will be the index file, and 33 GB something will be the raw data size. Means index file has a huge size, big size compared to the raw data. ऐसा कभी होता है क्या? It happens on the book, no, right? The concept is same, but the size is huge. In the Splunk, you have option when the storage is a concern, because if you're storing, for example, 5 years data, for example, you have terabyte of data of the raw data, you understand what is the size of TS-IDX file, index file, right? In Splunk, you have option in that case. The data that you're searching frequently, you can have both file, TS-IDX and raw data. The data that you're searching rarely, not searching 2-year, 3-year data, you're not searching, then you have the option, when you configure the retention period, you getting index, right? You have the option to add, to configure reduction of index file. For example, if you're seeing reduction 90 days, reduction TS-IDX means index file reduction. If you configure 90 days, means till 90 days, it will keep the index file. After 90 days, the index file will be deleted. Means rest of the data, there won't be index file. For latest 90 days, it will have index file. For after that data, it will not have index file. So if you are an index file, the search will be faster. If you do not have index file, the search will be slower. That I mean, if storage is a concern, cost, finance is the concern, you can configure reduction of TS-IDX file. Got it? Clear, everybody?
Yeah, clear.
Right. So first of all, let's write the definition of forwarder. You write it. So you write there are 3 main components of Splunk enterprise architecture. There are 3 main components. क्या नाम था यार? There are three main components of Splunk enterprise architecture. First is forwarder. Let's write forwarder. Forwarder then hyphen. Forwarder is the component of a Splunk. अरे कौन बोर्ड शो करने लगा भाई? Forwarder is the component of a Splunk which can collect the data, or collect the logs, data or log, whatever. Forwarder is the component of Splunk which can collect the data or logs from network devices, security devices, servers, database, server application, servers, applications. It can collect the logs from network device, security device, servers, applications, databases. Also, it can collect the log from any machine which generate the data. Splunk use the word machine. Splunk do not, in Splunk documentation, you do not see the word device, right? From security perspective, you use the word device. For any other SIEM tool you talk about, they will use the word device. But in Splunk documentation, they will use the word machine and they will use the word data, right? So also it can collect the logs, collect the data from any machine. It can collect the logs from any machine which generate the data. Which generate the logs or which generate the data. Once forwarder collects the logs, I may use word data or logs, whatever it is, okay? So you understand. Once forwarder collect the logs, it parse the logs. Collection means input, right? You understand? It parse the logs. It can filter out the logs. It can filter out the logs. It can filter out the logs. And और क्या लिखवा है, कुछ और लिखवा नहीं है ना? And send the logs to the indexer. And then send the logs to the indexer. And then send the logs to the indexer. Written? Now let's write indexer. तो अभी बताएंगे ना सब कुछ. अभी तो आर्किटेक्चर भी कवर नहीं होगा सर. हम we are understanding about the components, right? So let's write about the indexer. So indexer is the component of Splunk. Indexer is the component of Splunk, which can collect the log from forwarders. Which can collect the logs from forwarders. As well as directly from the end devices. As well as directly from the end devices. As well as directly from the end device. Understand end device means Splunk, right? These are end devices, right? These are end devices, right? So as well as directly from the end device. Once it collects the logs, it parses the logs. It parses the logs. Once it collects the log, it parses the logs. It parses the logs. Bracket, start bracket. And bracket it is right. If it is not already parsed by the forwarder. Already parsed by the forwarder. Close the bracket. Not already parsed by the forwarder. If it is not already parsed by the forwarder. If it is not already parsed by the forwarder. Written, bracket close. So once it collects the log, it passes the logs. And after that, license meter will run. License meter will run. License meter will run. License meter. Or you can write it calculate the logs from licensing perspective, or license meter will run. Same thing you can write. License meter will run. Then it will index the logs. It will index the logs. Index the logs. Written. Then it will write the logs. Then it will write the log file on the disk. Then it will write the logs on the disk. Then it will write the logs on the disk. Disk, D-I-S-K, right? It will write the logs on the disk.
Can you please repeat once again that licensing, and then it will
license
index the logs?
Yeah, it will then license meter will run. Then it will index the logs. After that, it will write the logs on the disk. After that, it will write the logs on the disk.
What do you mean licensing the logs?
Licensing, license calculation. License calculation. Each and every event which are coming in, right? It will be calculated for the licensing, right? So you have written after parsing, license meter will run, right? It has the license meter which calculate. Then after that, it will index the logs. And after that, it will write the logs on the disk. In the storage, right? That you have given on the disk. And written on the disk. Then it will keep the log for a long time. Then it will keep the log for a long time. Based on configured retention period. Based on configured retention period. Retention period means how long it will keep, right? How long you want to keep the logs. That is called retention period. How long it will retain. Retain means keeping, right? How long it will keep, that the word we use, retention. So
yeah, retention policy.
Right. Retention period means how long you want to keep, right? So based on, it will keep the log for a long time based on the configured retention period. Means how much you have configured retention period. Based on that, it will hold the log for a long time. Understand? Also, in next paragraph, indexer also respond to the search queries. In next paragraph, indexer also respond to the search queries initiated by the search head. Search query initiated by the search head. Search head. अरे चल ही नहीं रहा है यार. तो मेरे मोबाइल में नहीं चल रहा है ये URL. मैं सोच रहा हूँ चल ही नहीं रहा है वो. हाँ, respond to the query initiated by the search head. Clear, right? This? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Clear, right? Just one moment. Give me one moment, okay? Just hold on for a moment. Just a moment. ये 58358370841002. अरे साला पिकअप है ये तो. अच्छा, ये है ऑप्शन है और में लेने का. ठीक है. हाँ, क्या बोला मैंने? हाँ, now search head, right? So what is the work of search head? You know already. Do you know what is the work of search head?
To search the queries.
Search head will have search bar, right? Whatever log you want to search, give the query. So you have a search bar, give the query, select the time period for which you are looking for a log. Once you search, it will send the search query to the indexer. Of course, it has to send, because indexer is the only component which store the logs. So whenever you search, send the query to indexer. Indexer will respond, means it will retrieve the logs and show you here in the dashboard, on the console, right? Now this logs you can analyze here, can download on the various formats of CSV, Excel, PDF, RTF, HTML, JSON. In Splunk multiple, you have you want to utilize some logs to JSON format, which any application, third-party application can understand JSON format, right? Multiple format it has to download. You can download. Apart from that, you can create the dashboard, you can create report, you can create alerts on the search head. Understand? So let's write. So search head is the component of Splunk which has the search bar, to search the logs. Which has the search bar to search the logs, right? It sends the search queries to the indexer. To retrieve the logs and shows the log on the console, search console, and shows the log on the search console. Shows the log on the search console.
Sir, it sends the search query
to the indexer. it send the query search query to indexer. फिर इसको क्या लिखवाया? नहीं, retrieve लिखा था ना, retrieve. It send the search query to the indexer to retrieve the logs and show the logs on the search head console.
Can see your page, sir.
Right, where we can analyze the
So
logs.
the logs, sorry,
can somebody repeat, please? Somebody repeat.
indexer to retrieve the logs and show the logs.
I have written in the chat window. Logs in the search console.
Yeah, so it send the query to the indexer to retrieve the logs and show the logs on the search head console. From where show the logs to the search head console and shows the log to the search head console, where you can analyze the logs and download the logs on various formats and download the logs on the various format. Such as CSV, XLS, HTML, JSON, JSON, JSON. JSON,
Sulabh, I can't see your webcam. Or
no, I'm not actually in front of camera.
Okay.
I'm just speaking, sitting here. I'm just speaking. So what I'm saying?
JSON,
etc. JSON, etc. Depends. CSV, XLS, or from security perspective. What is your written? JSON, etc. Next paragraph you write. In search head, we can also create dashboard visualization. Reports, alerts, etc. etc. Report, dashboard, etc. Understand? Clear, everybody?
yes.
Okay, so I'm here only. So now question arrives. Now architecture, what is architecture? I will tell you in the next class. Because this is not an architecture completely. I'll be talking about what are different architectures we are having in Splunk. We'll be talking about. This is not only architecture because some more component will be there. So what I was saying, now the question arises where we can deploy these components Splunk Enterprise. Where we can do Splunk Enterprise, right? So Splunk Enterprise, we can deploy either your forwarder, index, or search head, right? With the part of a Splunk Enterprise. So Splunk Enterprise we can deploy in 3 platforms, 3 operating systems. What are those? Anybody?
Windows, Linux.
Windows,
Linux,
and
CentOS Linux.
Mac. CentOS Red Hat falls under the Linux only, right? There are 3 operating systems that Splunk Enterprise support: Windows, Linux, and Mac. You can write. But Windows, Linux, and Mac. But in the production, you'll not see Mac. Mac is only for POC or lab environment, testing environment, right? Not for the production. If you have MacBook, you want to evaluate, you can install a Splunk on the MacBook, but that you'll not see on the production. Understand? So production only Windows or Linux, right? That too in the enterprise network, you will see 99% deployment on which operating system?
Linux.
On the Linux. Yes. And not only Splunk, all the security devices, all the majority of the application you will see are being deployed on the Linux. So what do you think that what is the reason? Why people are using Linux more?
It's more secure. It's more secure.
More secure OS.
Yes, that is because Splunk is having better security compared to Windows. That is one of the most important reason. And second thing, Splunk operating system is much faster than Windows. From a speed perspective.
Linux.
Linux. Splunk. I'm telling Splunk operating system, but my Linux is much faster because Linux uses backend file system. Linux store the configuration backend configuration of files. So Linux use file system, and that makes the Linux faster than Windows. And these are the two reasons why majority of security devices or such applications you will see are being deployed on the Linux, right? Splunk also majority of the time you will see deployed on Linux, right? So understanding Splunk deployment, if you're the part of a Splunk advanced training, you want to become the expert in Splunk, that's the reason you are here, right? If we install on Windows, we learn installing on Windows, right? That does not make any sense. Yes or no? You understand deployment because you don't have Linux knowledge. If you understand deployment on Windows, but in the production you have to deploy on Linux only. Yes or no? That is the reason in this class for advanced training, we are deploying the Splunk on Linux. While in the SOC, we're deploying on the Windows. Yes or no? So you understand? Majority of development on the Linux. That is the reason I'm mentioning a SOC batch that if you want to grow technically, right, you have to learn Linux. Once you get the job, slowly you can learn. Basic knowledge is enough. See, main is concept. I'm thinking sometime to take some session on Linux also, few days session, because it's not a big thing. The main is the concept. People does not have their concept clear. They see the black color window and they're scared because they do not know the commands and everything. That's the reason. If concept is clear, commands and all you don't need to remember. Now you have internet, fast internet. Within a second, you can search and get the command, right? Even sometime also I don't remember the command. If you do something on a daily basis, you'll remember. If you're not doing really, I'm doing something configuration. Your lab is already set up, right? Sometimes I'll forget the command. I'll just check on the internet. Where is the concept? Yes or no? So it is recommended for people who want to grow technically, who want by implementation team, architect team, solution architect, right? It's important to learn some basics, not very advanced level, some basics. How to configure networking, how to deploy, configure, install Linux, editing and modifying the files, copy paste and everything. Those basics you can learn. That's enough. That's initial level. Okay, so I think the clock is saying around almost 8 o'clock. So we'll continue the class tomorrow at the same time. कल होगी class शाम को. Okay, so 3 hours. Is it boring? Was it boring? 3 hours continuously?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Not at all.
No.
I wish you can be doing this every day, every weekend. It's good for
I will
us.
share the document also. I will share the document in detail. One initial document I will share as of now. One initial document I have written in detail. What is the use of, what is index, search head, forwarder. Then after a few classes, I will share one admin administrator book that I have created, which cover the full admin syllabus. As of now, once you get the time, maybe today, tomorrow, or this week, you go through some basic definitions, about this Splunk.
Sure.
Okay, so to be continued. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.
Sulabh, one question here. Sorry.
Yes.
So there is this filtering that you spoke about,
right?
Right? In the forwarders, but we don't speak about in indexers, because indexers can also as you
Filter.
said,
See, I did not mention, because in the enterprise network, definitely you will have forwarder where you apply the filtering. Get
Okay.
it? I will tell you the next class that all your indexer, forwarder, search head, all are Splunk enterprise only. Get it? It's not different. What
Okay.
you're gonna do means if you configure receiving and forwarding, it will be called as forwarder. Receiving, indexing, indexer. Only searching, search head. There is no separate installable. Some people who has knowledge, they search in Google. One moment. Some people who does not have full knowledge, they search in Google, download a Splunk indexer, download a Splunk search head, download a Splunk for heavy forwarder, something like that. But there is no separate set of file. I will tell you in the next class that one set of file or Splunk enterprise. Either you have to configure indexer, search head, or forwarder, right? Same set of file. It depends on what setting you have configured, and it will be working as forwarder, indexer, search head. Get it? I'll be giving you a deep dive in next class. That means tomorrow. Yes.
Sulabh, can I ask?
Yes. Go ahead.
Can I have some video which you have talking about later regarding for the basic concept of security, which you have taken?
Yeah. You can bring me. I will share in the group itself. Yesterday only
Okay.
we have you have completed 9-day session, which even I have uploaded in the YouTube as well for SOC training. So it is the initial 9 days of SOC training. So for security fundamentals perspective, I will share you the link on the group. So people, especially I'm recommending people who has not joined, even though experienced people also definitely will learn. Fundamental base will be very strong in networking and security.
It may be much helpful if we can show that video.
I'm recommending to everyone who are never been the part of my SOC training. I recommend to watch those sessions, even though you are experienced.
Okay. Thanks for
I want to clear one doubt that I have. When we were talking about cloud and the Splunk enterprise and the enterprise security,
right?
You said enterprise security can only be mounted on the on-prem. The on-prem. Does it mean that if a company is cloud-based, it cannot use they cannot use?
No. See,
what does that mean?
No. It does not mean that. See, Splunk enterprise security is not a core deployment. That means you need not to have a separate server to deploy it. Either you're using Splunk cloud or Splunk on-premises. This app, Splunk enterprise security, will deploy on the search head. If in cloud you have search head on which you can deploy an application over the Splunk component, right? You can deploy as one more application. You don't have separate server for that. Get it? So either you have a Splunk cloud or a Splunk enterprises, Splunk on-premises. On the search head you deploy Splunk enterprise security app.
Okay.
Got it? Clear?
Okay.
Sorry,
one question.
Yes.
Yeah. On the license meter, is it possible that the data coming in might be greater than what you license for, and what will happen at that time?
We will do the deep dive in licensing. Separate discussion for 15 minutes for licensing. I will understand in what case what will happen in case violated, right? In what case it will call as violation of license, right? How Splunk calculate the license. That 10 to 15 minutes separate discussion on the licensing.
Okay,
I just given the idea. I just given the brief idea about the licensing.
Thank you.
Okay. Shall we wind up for the day? Hey guys, thank you for joining. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.